Hey there. Welcome back to the best leadership podcast ever. There are two things I try to do with this. The first, make you laugh. The second is advance your career by rethinking your daily habits. If those are things you're interested in, click that subscribe button below. Today, we're going to talk about embracing growth. You ready? Imagine you have a well. It's one of those old school stone wells with, the crank handle and the bucket. It's probably sitting in the middle of a lush green field somewhere in Ireland because, hey, why not? Let's also imagine you have a herd of sheep. You want your sheep to be happy and productive because that's your job. As it turns out, the sheep need water to be happy and productive. Thank God you've got a well. Any questions so far? Great, because we've got to talk about embracing growth. There are 4 different types of leaders that we'll discuss. And if you want to be a leader that embraces growth, which, by the way, you do, it is really important for you to understand these archetypes. So pay close attention. The first scenario involves the undecider. When the undecider approaches the well, they wonder if the well water is healthy for the sheep. And they tell themselves that maybe they need more research before risking the sheep's well-being with the well water. So they don't get the well water. And they don't do the research, and the sheep remain thirsty. All of this is because the undecider has a hard time making decisions that involve risk. They avoid decision making. Sound like anybody you know? The next scenario involves the invalidator. When the invalidator gets to the well, they lower the bucket, raise it back up, and confidently walk that bucket down to the sheep pasture. Once they get to the pasture, they realize that, surprise, surprise, there is no water in the bucket. Maybe they didn't lower the bucket enough. Perhaps the well was dry, or maybe there's a hole in the bucket, dear Liza, dear Liza. This is the problem with the invalidator. Though they aren't scared of making decisions, they don't bother to validate whether their choices will ultimately achieve the end goal. Instead, they act impulsively and then later wonder why it didn't work. And that's not good. Oh, by the way, if you like this so far, click that like button down there. The next scenario involves the shortcutter. The shortcutter hurries to the well and notices that the bucket is already a quarter full. They're in a rush and have a busy day ahead, so they unhook the bucket and hustle with it to the sheep pasture. But it's not nearly enough water for the sheep. But hey, the shortcutter is busy, so they decide to just leave that empty bucket on the ground in the pasture. And therein lies the problem with the shortcutter. They just want to get things done and get it done quickly. They never think of creating efficient and scalable processes. The result is chaos. Next. The last scenario involves the ball dropper. The ball dropper confidently strides to the well and lowers the bucket. It fills up with water and they raise it back up. The ball dropper at this point is pretty darn proud of themselves. They pat themselves on the back for doing a job well done and then walk away, leaving that full bucket of water sitting at the well and the sheep wondering what the hell is going on with all these crazy people. That's the problem with the ball dropper. They begin tasks and never finish them. They never hold themselves or other people accountable. In the end, the ball dropper is probably just going to blame the sheep for being thirsty anyway. So what does this all mean? I'm glad you asked. The bucket of water represents the inspiration to grow and to be productive. And the sheep are the employees who are thirsty for that inspiration. It is the leader's job to grow a business. But there are 4 bad leadership habits that destroy the ability to effectively grow and result in uninspired employees. The 4 bad leadership habits are poor decision-making, failure to validate new concepts, an inability to create scalable processes, and a lack of accountability. And as you think of those, I'm sure you can come up with people who you know that fall victim to each of those habits. I mean, after all, almost every leader has a weakness in at least one of them. I see it all the time in my leadership coaching practice. But having that weakness is okay. I mean, it's okay as long as you acknowledge your shortcomings and make up for it. The problem happens when a leader fails to acknowledge and address their challenges. And it's a big problem. Big enough for employees to scramble to greener pastures, if you know what I mean. Many leaders don't even realize that they're the bottleneck for growth. Here's some typical scenarios for you. They may blame the staff for not moving fast enough, but they're the ones who are holding up decisions. They may be overloaded with to-dos, but feel like they can't delegate because nobody can do it as well as them. Or they may get frustrated that deadlines are continually missed, yet they never hold themselves or anybody else accountable. All of those are a problem. So tell me, which of the habits is your weakness? Which are your boss's weaknesses? It is critical for leaders to continually self-reflect. You need to recognize your tendencies, which ones are energizing the employees and which ones are demotivating them. To put it in a positive perspective, the leader who is embracing growth is one who is an efficient decision maker, who validates concepts before acting impulsively, who creates scalable processes, and who holds themselves and their team accountable. Now's the time to take a good look at yourself. Hold up that mirror. If you want some advice, drop me a line. It's what I do in my executive coaching practice. Hey, if you like this, please click that thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe for more. Thanks for listening to the best leadership podcast ever. We'll see you next time. Bye.